All right, welcome to another long-awaited video. No, I am not dead. I'm still alive. As of this video, who knows? I do plan to drive later today, but I will wear my seatbelt. So this is a short intro video. I'm gonna keep this under 10 minutes. It's the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of a growth mindset, which I've talked about before on this channel, and I think is very important. But I want to talk about the limitations of a growth mindset and the flaws in a growth mindset. A lot of these flaws come from not fully understanding what it does mean to have a growth mindset. So like, in short, like I think just what it means to have a growth mindset is just that you can get better with practice. That's a really some people think like, oh, I'll never be good at math because I'm just intrinsically bad at math. So like that's a fixed mindset. It means you have a fixed attribute where you're bad at math, and no matter what you do, you'll never get better at math because you're destined to be bad at math. So a growth mindset would be, I'm bad at math, but I'm bad at math because this, and this is how I can get better at the thing that is preventing me from being good at math. So like if you don't understand certain concepts, the moment you understand those concepts is the moment you become better at math. So that's how a growth mindset works. Something very important to this channel. That's what this channel is all about. After all, you know, I'm sitting down putting in work. And that's really important for everyone to understand and to implement properly. So this is one of the problems with a growth mindset. You can kind of get the idea that you can do anything at a really high level as long as you put the work in. So if we just think about something like basketball, you know, Muggsy Bogues is a famous basketball player who was short. In basketball, there's a hoop that is 10 feet high. So in general, the people who are taller have an easier time putting the ball in that hoop, guarding that hoop, you know, whatever. It's an analogy for how a growth mindset can be actually limiting sometimes. So if you're 3 feet tall, which a lot of people are, no matter how hard you work at basketball, and of course there are exceptions to the rule, Muggsy Bogues being one of them. He wasn't 3 feet tall, but he definitely would not be considered tall. You're just not going to perform as well as somebody who's, you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, somebody who's 6'11" on a short day, probably on an average day 7 feet, if not taller, in shoes, probably like a good 7'2", and you know, a Superman, a man that can jump high, that can run fast, that can contort his body in flexible ways. You know, he has to work, yes. So for him, you know, this growth mindset, when it comes to applying it to basketball, is really valuable. But for somebody who's, you know, 3 feet tall, like I forget, Peter Dinklage, you know, for him, that's not going to be a very valuable mindset for him to think, you know, the more I practice, the more time I spend learning basketball, the better chance I have to be in the NBA. That's not a smart way to think about life. I mean, so a growth mindset is just basically that you can get better for practice. So yeah, Peter Dinklage, if he plays basketball every day, he will get better. Can he get and the ceiling as to how good he can get, yeah, is very, very high. He might be able to be the best player in a local league or something like that. He can get very, very good at basketball the more he practices basketball. But can he make it in the NBA? I would say probably not, because there's no limit of people uh, twice as tall, at least, who are similarly motivated to practice and get better. So that's where applying a growth mindset uh, can be actually destructive, because Peter Dinklage, as we all know, is a great actor. He was in Game of Thrones, and he's in various other things. So for him, if he applies that growth mindset to acting as opposed to playing basketball, he's going to have a lot more success, because this role for Game of Thrones, pretty much, he was the perfect actor for that role. So if he gets the basic skills of acting down, memorizing lines, being able to emote, whatever skills there are for acting, I don't know that much about acting, he's going to get a lot further ahead than if he were to focus on basketball. So, the same thing applies. Whether or not he focuses on basketball, whether or not he focuses on acting, a growth mindset is going to be valuable. But a growth mindset is not a delusional belief that you'll be the best at anything you try as long as you work the hardest, because that's just not the case. People who work the hardest don't always go on to be the best. They can get injured. They can have bad luck. They can have setbacks beyond their control. So that's not what a growth mindset is. The belief that you can get as good as you want at anything you want. It's just the belief that there's nothing fixed about you. And of course, there are reasons to have a fixed mindset, like your height is fixed, certain attributes are in fact fixed. You have, you're a human, not a different animal. So like, the idea of a growth mindset is not to be delusional and to believe things that aren't true. The idea of a growth mindset is to believe things that are true, that practice makes perfect, perfect practice makes perfect, that spending time improving a skill set is really valuable. So that's what a growth mindset is. It's not the idea that whatever you do, as long as you practice it, you are doing something valuable. In fact, it can be the opposite. You get into something that's just not right for you, that you're not set up to succeed in, and you burn all this time, all this money learning and stuff, and it just never pays off. So that's not what a growth mindset is. The idea that just needlessly putting in effort into something is good. Growth mindset mentalities allow you to give up on things where you legitimately don't feel that you will succeed. So like that example that, I'm bad at math, it's a fixed quality myself. That's more of a fixed mindset, and to have a growth mindset, you would look in what particularly am I bad at. But, if you do that and you say, I have a growth mindset, I want to get better at math, here's what I need to do, and you figure out, oh, well, the reason I'm so much worse at math than everyone else is because I have dyscalculia, which is a real thing. I mean, there's a Wikipedia. Yeah, so dyscalculia is a learning disorder that prevents a person's ability to understand number-based information in math. So, like, dyscalculia is as real as dyslexia, ADHD, bipolar, schizophrenia. Like, these are real things. So, like, a growth mindset isn't, I have dyscalculia, but I can be a NASA rocket scientist anyways. A growth mindset is, I can get better at math, But I understand that there are potential limitations, and the effort for me, and that if I put the effort in, I will get better. But for me, the effort may be a larger quantity than for someone else. So it might be better to focus this large number of efforts in something where I actually have that advantage, where if I put effort levels of 10 into something, I will succeed where other people would have had to put effort levels of 100 in order to have the same success as me. So exploring that, figuring that out, realizing what works for you is really important. And that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit on this, just this first one, because I'm just explaining why I'm shifting gears and kind of abandoning some of the old things I did on this channel. I'll come clean. I've failed the JNCISP and I never retook it, so I don't have that. And then my CCNP expired. I think I still have an active CCNA. That I do want to get by the end of 2023 for sure. I want to renew that. I'll probably do the continuing education credit program because that's probably the easiest way. But the Juniper certs, they still have that old school version that Cisco moved on from, where you have to go rung on a ladder. And honestly, I went through some really intense job searching, and my Juniper certs, they got me interviews, but they didn't get me jobs. So I feel like focusing on Cisco is more important. So that is speaking to my old content. This is an intro video to new content for this channel, and it's going to be all about Linux. And sorry, we're over 10 minutes here. I wanted to keep this short. I'm going to cap it at 15 and just explain, because this is the intro video for this new playlist. I'm going to explain what I want to do. So what I want to do is focus all on Linux. So this is going to be, I think, the most widely applicable playlist for anyone watching this channel. It's not just focused on networking. It's not just focused on Juniper or Cisco. It's not even just focused on DevOps or something like that, which is perhaps a broad category, or programming, which is a very broad programming, broad concept. It's going to be focusing all on Linux, and Linux, in my mind, is probably one of the broadest ones at all. So if there's anything anyone thinks they can learn from this channel, I want this playlist to be the place to go. So I'm going to be using books. I'm going to be sticking to my principles for this channel, which is that anyone can follow along, and there's nothing behind a paywall. It's all free. You don't have to pay to play. So I'm going to be starting with this public link here, Linux Insides, and I'll probably even name the channel Linux Insides. And this playlist is going to be devoted completely to going through each of these, reading it out loud, doing exercises if possible, and yeah, it should be hopefully the most useful thing that I do on this channel. So this is just an intro video for that. I wanted to talk about why I'm switching gears. I wanted to clarify what is meant on this channel by a growth mindset. It doesn't mean taking the JNCIE SP, 10 more times after I failed it the first time, or even a second time. It means thinking about what is actually valuable and what will get me to the place I want to go, and applying a growth mindset there. It doesn't mean just spinning your wheels forever and getting nothing in return. It means improving on skills that are valuable. So Linux is a really valuable skill. Knowing it inside and out. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's Cisco Nexus devices are based on Linux. Juniper is based on a distribution of Linux, FreeBSD. All of the servers are going to be on Linux. It's everywhere. So this is hopefully the biggest topic I'm going to be covering. And this is the end of the intro video. So stay tuned for video number 1 of the Linux Insights playlist, where we go through, we start with booting, and the whole video will probably be devoted to the first subtopic within booting, which is from the bootloader to the kernel. Okay, so great things to come. Thanks for watching, and definitely stay tuned for this series. I'm past 15 minutes. and sorry, bear with me. If you want professional YouTuber content, go to David Bumble, go to Network Chuck. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a technology professional that does this in my spare time to help myself keep my skills up and to help others. Yeah, thanks for watching the intro, and I will see you in the next video.